All right, so some interesting stuff happened recently lately with more updates and stuff going on Final Fantasy 16. Like if this game may come out this year or not, we still don't for sure know. But I can sort of give you guys, based on the information we learned, but I can kind of give you guys a better idea of what may happen and sort of my predictions of what will happen with this game when it comes out and things like that, and what I hope for. And I want to get into that discussion with you guys right now. This is on IGN, so we may soon have another trailer for upcoming Final Fantasy 16, according to Naoki Yoshida, the game's producer. He made the comments during a live stream to promote a collaboration between Nier Reincarnation and Final Fantasy 16. I think Nier Reincarnation is like the new mobile game for Nier. And so they finished the trailer, but due to various circumstances, release has been a bit delayed, said Yoshida. It should be coming very soon. And I think very soon is possibly next month. You know, Summer Games Fest is going on. It's potential that it could show up there, you know. It is June 9th. It's possible it could show up there, or Sony could do their own state of play thing or showcase thing. You see it there, that the game was in the final stage of development. So that was sort of the first tidbit of this news, right? It was entering the final stage of development. But now it seems to essentially be complete, potentially content complete, but the trailer has been delayed, right? Or at least that's what it seems like we get from here. There's also a tweet we're gonna check out too, saying in the live stream that he received a cold email from the US marketing team for letting the information slip. Yeah, so yeah, they were not, that person was not supposed to let it slip. I'm sure they were mad at him for that. And this is the first mainline game since 2016. That's crazy to think about, you know, because we had F7 Remake in between all this. We're still in the F7 Remake Part 2 information. Yeah, so while no release date has been announced, 2020 is the 35th anniversary of the original Final Fantasy, with development starting to wrap and new trailer on the way. So with this being the 35th anniversary of the series itself, you would think they want to release it this year. They would try to want to be on track to release it this year and not wait till next year. That's very important, because then this is also FF7's anniversary year too, the 25th anniversary of that. Two very important years for Final Fantasy in general. That seems to be about it right there. Let's go to Twitter, and this is from Audrey. Final Fantasy 16 news by Yoshi P from the Nier Reincarnation stream. Trailer is done. Certain factors caused the announcement to be delayed, but should drop soon. Dev team spent a long time polishing and debugging the games. Let's focus on that a little bit. Below that it says the game is pretty much complete, right? Let's go. Okay, so let's not misinterpret this for those that might be thinking, oh, it's done? Okay, it should be released soon. No, not exactly. Based on my experience with, you know, paying attention to these companies and, you know, sort of working in the industry a little bit in the past, and some fact, you know, polishing and debugging the game, that takes a good chunk of time. You know, that takes a fair amount of time to do, even if it is content complete. It at least takes a couple months, sometimes longer. And if a dev team is given longer than maybe like 2 or 3 months, that's kind of generous. The other factors that people don't always think about when it comes to a game about to be released, or the requirements for a game to get released, is like, okay, it might be content complete, right? Now it has to get ready to be like go gold. You gotta get ready to go gold, which essentially get ready for it to be printed on disc. That still has to happen. You also got potential day one patch that the dev team has to work on. You know, most games get a day one patch of some kind. So that's gonna be a thing. On top of, like, they're trying to do more polishing, I'm sure, and debugging to it, you know, stuff like that. That's gonna take a little bit more time. Let's see what else there. You know, licensing stuff. Get certain approvals for certain things. Jeff Keighley might have the trailer already that they're talking about, you know, and getting ready to premiere it at Summer Game Fest. We'll see. This is my sort of speculation on that. And with that said, though, there's still gonna be at least a few more months of work. And they're letting us know this now, like in the month of May, right? So I imagine, you know, probably get the trailer next month. Hopefully, if they can get all the polishing done, you know, get the licensing stuff taken care of, you know, get to go gold, that'd probably be a high miracle of a chance that this may come out August. I would hope. I would want this to come out August, so that way, that gives it a couple months, you know, to kind of be successful, breathe, and be separate from Forspoken, right? Because Forspoken's October. I think Forspoken's like early October or mid-October or something like that. And I was talking about this before to a few people, you know, friend-wise in my circle and stuff like that. It just makes sense to give at least a 2-month, you know, breathing room for each of those games. Plus, on top of this being Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary year, you know, they said they're going to be announcing something right there, and this kind of comes back to Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. This game needs to be out and Forspoken before we hear anything else when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. And I've said this before, that it makes sense for us to get some type of teaser announcement at least at Game Awards in December. It just makes the most sense because like Game Awards has been getting more and more popular every year. That's gonna be like where you're gonna get the biggest audience checking it out, the most eyes watching, you know, and I could see that potentially being saved as like the last thing they, you know, announce or showcase at that event. I could easily see that happening. It may not be the last thing. They maybe throw it in the beginning, maybe throw it in the middle. I don't know, but I think it's going to be there based on, you know, the information we got so far, based on paying attention to how this industry works. I just think that makes the most sense in terms of announcement teaser, because they said they're going to do it this year at some point. You don't want to do it before, you know, these games are out. So they got to get these out. And if for some reason, you know, they cannot get Final Fantasy 16 out by August, then the next best thing I think would happen is maybe holiday, late November holiday, you know, around Thanksgiving time. I would hope it would be around there at the latest and not next year, because 35th anniversary of the entire series. I don't think they want to wait until next year. I really don't, considering this is the 35th anniversary of the series and also Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary year. So yeah, it just makes all the sense to try and get us out this year if they can. I would hope they can. You know, it seems like it's going really well right now. I definitely want to, you know, go through some of the Final Fantasy games I've actually beaten yet and played them leading up to this, mainly 15. You know, I know these are not direct sequels, but I want to play 15 and kind of get a feel for what they may do in 16 compared to 15, even though I think they hired some ex-Capcom devs to help with the combats. Let's go into further details with this, as I believe, yep, down here. So, want to add, the debugging polishing is still going on. It's not finished. Yoshi P expects they will want to take their time with polishing the game further. Yeah, so that's the thing. It kind of goes back and like, okay, you know, they're going to need probably more, you know, maybe another month or two to polish and debug. And hopefully that's all they need. But then if they need longer, then hey, that happens, you know. The ideal dream release month, at least for me personally, is August for this, if they can get this stuff done. That way, you know, hopefully need another month, or by end of June, finish polishing, debugging, right? And then hopefully get a gold, I don't know, sometime soon after that. And hopefully can release this August, early August, late August, whatever it might be. Yoshi P mentions they spent Golden Week working on some urgent stuff for FF6, 14. Also made adjustments to marketing plan for FF16. Said that F16 dev team is working their hardest on the game, and I believe it. So literal translation here. The game is greatly coming together. However, I like for a dev team to spend more time on polishing and that's fine. That's great, because you know, after I've never actually beaten Final Fantasy 15, but I know the launch version was rough. It was not that great. I played a little bit of it, the launch version, and I enjoyed it for the most part, but I definitely saw the flaws of it. And then, you know, down the line, they released the Royale version, which is a much better version of the game, and I highly recommend you guys check it out and play it. I have it, and all the DLC, so can't wait to dive fully into that. But from what I did play of 15, yeah, there's definitely some rough things about it. The story so far, from what I played, though, is pretty decent. You know, I know it gets some flack for the story, but I still have to fully experience that for myself. We'll see. It also says here, I'd say with this tone in his list of what he wants his team to still do for debug polishing, the game is at least 80% plus complete at this point. Yeah, that would make sense though. Honestly, I would feel the same way. It's got to probably be around that, you know, percentage too, because maybe even 90, you know, maybe. And like the polishing debugging part is probably like the last 10 to 20% they got to do, and that's like, that does take some time, you know. We'll see. I'm hoping for the best with this. You know, it seems to be mostly on track, even though it did get like a delay of sorts, because it was meant to come out last year, and it got announced back in like 2020, right? Translation of Yoshi P's comment essentially might have inadvertently gotten him in trouble, and that makes sense. I mean, yeah, because they don't want him saying too much. They don't want him saying too much, and like we had got an announcement back last year in December, right, from the producer saying, you know, give us an update, you know, apologize for a few things, some stuff's taking longer. The next time they'll, you know, announce something big with F16 was spring 2022. Well, it's spring 2022 now. So I would imagine, yeah, we're gonna get this trailer announcement soon. You know, it seems like it's already finished, but they're just trying to maybe like release at the right time. And you know, Summer Games Fest or Sony State of Play showcase makes most sense because you want the most eyes on it. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's see, after this thread, so that's news sites don't write pretty much complete equals game is done. So here's the thing I was mentioning earlier, like, guys, do not take this as the game is done when they say pretty much complete. No, as I said before, there's still a lot of stuff they gotta do to get before they get out the door, get shipped to us and everything like that, and you know, in people's hands or on like digital storefront. I tried to clarify this first to avoid people thinking the game is going gold or something, right? Yeah, it's not going gold yet. I would hope it goes gold in July. That's about it. I have high hopes for this though. So then I just want to like talk about this to clarify some stuff for folks. Because I don't want people to think like, oh, then why isn't it out yet and this and that, you know, oh. And there's like factors behind the scenes that's probably going on, you know, we obviously have no speculation about or idea about, but it seems like it's gonna be good. I'm excited. I hope it goes smooth. I really do for this last, you know, final stretch for the game development, and I cannot wait to play this. I cannot wait to enjoy this story, and I hope it's just incredible.